Well, good evening. I'm your host, Robert Wilson, with Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed podcast. Tonight's is 7 ways why self help, self improvement, personal growth, and punctuated writings are self obedient programs. Self help, self improvement, personal growth, and punctuated writings were never designed to liberate you, they were engineered to domesticate you. It's something I witnessed, and I stopped using all that stuff in 2008, and I've really understand. They were engineered to domesticate your awareness, standardize your identity, and keep your intuition obedient to yesterday's logic, and that is what they do. They are museum mind systems disguised as empowerment. They teach you to fix what was never broken, heal what was already dissolved, and chase versions of yourself that were scripted by cultural conditioning, never by sovereign clarity. These programs never awaken you, they archive you. And that's something I witnessed when I was doing it, and all the stuff. I never got past where I was at. I really noticed that. I started in 1997, but I really noticed it in 2008. That's when I discovered the word expand. I started using expand, energize, enterprise, and experience rather than change, heal, create, and appreciate for forgiveness. And I rose out of that stuff. They never expand you, they categorize you. They never unleash you, they loop you. They keep you orbiting in the same emotional archaeology, the same narratives and the same wounds, the same steps, the same tools, and the same mindsets, all while conniving and convincing you that progress is happening. Yet progress is inside a cage is still captivity. And that's one thing I noticed about self-help, personal growth, punctuated writings. It's a cage of captivity. Appreciation is the frontier force that snaps the spell. Self-help is the spell. Self-help loops the wounds instead of dissolving them. Self-help keeps you revisiting the injury, analyzing the pain, and rehearsing the story. So when you tell the story of all this is what happened, you're just rehearsing the same story, and the same story still controls you. It reinforces the character who was harmed instead of awakening the sovereign identity untouched by memory. Personal growth trains obedience, never originality. Growth, personal growth programs teaches you to follow steps, adopt mindsets, and perform self-improvement rituals. They reward compliance, never clarity. They cultivate a better version of the same domesticated identity. Punctuated writings is the grammar of control. Punctuation is emotional domestication, a way to structure thought into socially acceptable shapes. Breath driven writing, such as unpunctuated writings, is sovereign. Punctuated writing is obedience. One awakens intuition, the unpunctuated awakens intuition, the other reinforces programming. The sovereign veracity, self help is a leash, appreciation is liberation, and I'm the liberator of me as my ardor soaring through life with a Zorro zeal to put my mark on the universe. You rise the moment you stop improving and instantly awaken to the aware of the dares of your own true, your own authentic audacity. Why these systems are social obedient programs and mind museum haunts that trap you in the past. They keep you fixing the character you were, never awakening the who you are and the authentic savant you are today. Self help and self improvement trap you in endless repair cycles, healing, correcting, optimizing, upgrading, all aim at the old identity. They are mind museum haunts because they force you to walk through the same emotional snapshots, exhibits, the wound, the narrative, the injury, the lesson. They never let you out of the past because their entire structure depends on you believing you were still broken, still behind, and still incomplete. Sovereign frequencies rise only when you stop fixing the archive character and start appreciating the frontier one. They train obedience to yesterday's framework instead of igniting the sovereign clarity of the here and now. Personal growth programs teach you steps, systems, mindsets, rituals, all engineered from past logic. And that is kind of where they stay with that stuff. They reward compliance, never originality, and they reinforce cultural conditioning, never intuition. They are social obedient programs because they keep you performing improvement behaviors that maintain the museum identity instead of dissolving it. They never let you out of the past because they are the past. Repackaged as progress, as punctuated writings is the grammar of captivity that keeps your expression inside old cages. As unpunctuated writings are breath driven, sovereign splendor to liberate you. Punctuated writings is obedience. It forces your expression into socially approved shapes, emotional domestication, and linguistic cages built by yesterday's rules. It is a mind museum haunt because it keeps your voice formatted by the past instead of liberated by your now frequency of clairvoyant clarity. It never lets you out of the past because it literally structures your thinking in the architecture of yesterday. And it's the self-help is a museum, self-improvement is obedience, punctuated writing is captivity, appreciation is a frontier exit, open near open range of revolutionary resolve to allow you to ride hell bent for elections to wherever you desire. Why self help, self improvement, personal growth, and punctuated writings are social obedient programs, mind museum haunts from the past. Self help, self improvement, personal growth, and punctuated writings pretend to be liberation, yet they are actually mind museum haunts, dusty exhibits of yesterday's thinking, archive frameworks, inherited scripts, and obedient behaviors, disguised as people think that's wisdom. They are social obedient programs engineered to keep you fixing, healing, improving, and correcting a version of yourself that was never sovereign to begin with. They never awaken your frontier agility or identity, they restore the museum exhibit. Most of our thinking, knowing, and everyday school system is a museum exhibit. They never ignite your intuition. They reinforce the programmer of control. They never unleash your originality. They categorize you into predictable roles. These systems keep you orbiting the past, worshiping the past, revisiting the past, and performing rituals designed by the past. There are never pathways to sovereignty. They are hallways in the museum of who you used to be. Appreciation snaps the spell, self help maintains it. Self help is a museum tour of your wounds. It keeps you revisiting the same emotional exhibits, the injury, that narrative, and the identity as if healing requires repetition. It's a haunt because it loops yesterday's gravity instead of dissolving it. Self improvement is obedience training disguised as empowerment. Self help is obedience training disguised as empowerment. It teaches you to follow steps, adopt mindsets, and perform improvement rituals that keep you socially acceptable, but yet never rises you to your desired landscapes. It's a haunt. Self-help, personal growth, self-improvement, it's a haunt because it reinforces domesticated identity instead of awakening the sovereign one. Punctuated writings is the grammar of captivity. Punctuation structures thought onto socially approved shapes. Breath-driven writings is sovereign. Unpunctuated writings is breath-driven writings and is sovereign. Punctuated writing is obedience. And punctuated writings have whatever the limitations of other people's are. It's a haunt because it keeps your expression inside yesterday's linguistic cages. Self-help is a museum. Self-improvement is obedience. Punctuated writings is domestication. Appreciation is liberation. This was one I've noticed for myself. Why life coaching keeps me stuck in social obedience. Life coaching trained me to obey yesterday's identity. Life coaching builds its entire model around who I used to be. The archived character, the wound story, the emotional residue of never do. It teaches me to fix, heal, improve, and optimize that outdated identity instead of dissolving it and rising and shining with my spirit prowess. That is social obedience, loyalty to the past, loyal to the injury, and loyalty to the museum version of me. Sovereign frequencies rise me only when I stop obeying the character and start embodying the frontier foresight and be the revolutionary rebellious energy of me. Life coaching rewards compliance instead of sovereignty. Coaching systems revolve around steps, accountability, consistency, discipline, and mindset rituals, all engineered to keep me on track. But on track means inside the box. It's obedience training disguised as empowerment. It teaches me to follow frameworks instead of intuition, to adopt mindsets instead of clarity, to perform improvement rituals instead of awakening my spirit frequencies of my natural wisdom. Life coaching keeps me performing emotional archaeology. Coaching loops me through the same wounds, the same narratives, the same limiting beliefs, and the same emotional exhibits as if revisiting the past is a path to liberation. That is social obedience, repeating yesterday until it becomes identity. It keeps me stuck in the museum of who I used to be, instead of rising me onto my sovereign pathways of enlightenment, untouched by injury, memory, or narrative. The supreme sovereign authenticity. Life coaching keeps you obedient to yesterday. Sovereignty dissolves yesterday entirely. Why those frontier forces destroy mind-made museum mind programs and rise me onto the here and now. Cowboy wisdom is energetic liberation, snaps a museum spell. As cowboy wisdom unleashed is raw, unfiltered, sovereign clarity, the kind that refuses to revisit wounds or rehearse narratives. Energetic liberation dissolves emotional archaeology instantly. Together, they destroy self-help and personal growth because those systems depend on looping the past, fixing the past, healing the past, and obeying the past. Cowboy wisdom unleashed doesn't fix old identity. It walks you out of the museum entirely onto your paths of enlightenment with energized listening, maverick questions, bypass all past based programming. And that's one thing to me, life coaching is just past based programming. And it never enthused me, but I'm the liberator of me, cowboy wisdom unleashed, politically incorrect inspiration. It entices me to roll the dice of daring internal campaigners' elegance to dance. Energized listening hearkens the truth without interference from thinking, knowing, viewpoints, opinions, or beliefs. Maverick questions detonate conditioning by refusing to ask obedient improvement based questions. They destroy self help because self help relies on obedient questions like, how do I fix this? Or what's wrong with me? As maverick questions rise you on to the here and now because they ignite sovereign wisdom, insight, and clarity, never the museum logic. And that's what intelligence is, museum logic. Unpunctuated questions and liberating lingo dissolve the grammar of captivity. Punctuated writings is a grammar of social obedience. It structures your expression inside yesterday's linguistic cages. Unpunctuated questions break the cage. Liberating lingo replaces. It dissolves self improvement language with foreign sovereign frequency voltage of visionary veracity. Destroys personal growth and self improvement because those systems rely on structured, step based, past based language. Unpunctuated expression rises you onto the here and now because it breathes instead of obeys. The supreme sovereign veracity. Cowboy wisdom unleashed, free, liberates you from you. Energetic liberation awakens you. Energized listening clarifies you. Maverick questions ignite you, and unpunctuated questions liberate you. Liberating lingo rises you out of the self-help museum. You become the frontier of your debonair flair because the liberating lingo was expand instead of change, energize instead of enterprise instead of transformation, experience the now, and to experience life. The liberating lingo is about the fresh experiences of now rather than the old fondue of yesterday. Because you are the frontier of debonair flair. Why energetic liberation destroys museum mind programs and rises me and you on to the here and now. Energetic liberation dissolves the identity these systems keep repairing. Self help and self improvement depend on the belief that the old character still needs fixing. Energetic liberation snaps that spell instantly. It reveals that the archived identity was never the real you. When the false identity dissolves, the entire self help industry collapses because it has nothing left to repair. Liberation rises you onto the here and now because it deletes the character those systems keep resurrecting. Energetic liberation bypasses all past based logic and obedience frameworks. Personal growth and punctuated writings operate from yesterday's grammar. Yesterday's psychology, yesterday's emotional archaeology, they keep you obedient to the past frameworks because they keep you in the comfort zone of the past, steps, mindsets, and rituals, and the narratives of it. It never allows you to move forward in life. Energetic liberation bypasses all that by activating intuition, inspiration, imagination, and sovereign clarity beyond thinking, knowing, viewpoints, opinions, and beliefs. That bypass and destroys the museum of yesterday because it stops feeding the past. Self-help, personal growth, self-improvement, that all just feeds the past to me. Now I'm talking about how I rose out of my past through my energetic liberation. Because the thing liberation does that everything else doesn't do, it bypasses you over the swamps of what happened before. Energetic liberation awakens the frontier version of me that can never exist in the past. The frontier version of you that sovereign, wild, fluid, unrepeatable version can never live in yesterday's museum. Self-help tries to improve the archived character. Liberation unleashes the frontier identity. Once that identity rises, the past loses its authority, its gravity, and its relevance. You stand in the here and now because the frontier version of you only breathes in the present moment. The frontier energy of you only breathes in the present moment. The supreme sovereign authenticity. Self-help repairs the museum. Energetic liberation burns the museum down. As you rise of here and now, the sovereign savvy within you illuminates your paths of enlightenment. Why cowboy wisdom unleashed plus energetic liberation destroys, change, heal, create transformation, and unleashes my free-flowing energy. Cowboy wisdom unleashed snaps the spell of change, heal, create, and transformation because it rises you out of that and allows you to get into the listening and the questioning of yourself. Cowboy wisdom never negotiates with the past, doesn't revisit the wounds, doesn't worship healing, and never chases transformation. Because Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed questions the now. And that's the thing, it's about questioning and entertaining the now. Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed destroys them because it refuses to fix the archived character. It walks you straight onto the sovereign now frequencies of where your energy is already free. It is the boardwalk of liberation, strolling you, chauffeuring you through the day. Change is a museum. Liberation is a frontier. Energetic liberation dissolves the identity those systems keep repairing. Change, heal, create, transformation depend on the belief that something is wrong with you, and there is nothing wrong with you. You're just going through to discover the inspired you. Energetic liberation reveals the authenticity that nothing was ever wrong, only archived. And that's the thing. Your authentic audacity is just archived within you, and you just got to dissolve the shackles and the doors that are keeping you in it. When the false identity dissolves, the entire change, heal, create, transformation, and forgiveness industry collapses because it has nothing left to work on. Liberation rises you onto the here and now because it deletes the character of those systems kept reconstructing. And that's something I've really noticed for me in using liberation. I stopped trying to heal something. Liberation keeps me looking forward and feeling energized, enterprising to listen to my sovereign prowess from everywhere. A liberating lingo awakens the frontier version of me that cannot exist in the past. Change, heal, create, transformation language is museum grammar built from yesterday's psychology, yesterday's wounds, yesterday's emotional archaeology. Liberation lingo replaces all that with sovereign frequency voltage that breathes instead of obeys. When your language rises, your identity rises out of yesterday. When your identity shifts, your energy unleashes. And in that rise, the veracity and authenticity becomes undeniable, unrelatable, and free. I am the liberator of me, and that's what you become. I am the liberating of me. The supreme sovereign veracity changes captivity. Healing is repetition. Transformation is obedience. Energetic liberation is freedom. Cowboy wisdom unleashed is ignition. And you are the one who unleashes you. Why Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed plus energetic liberation destroys unrealized control limitations and unleashes my free flowing energy. Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed exposes and destroys unrealized control. Unrealized control is the invisible leash, the subtle obedience to old identities, old narratives, old emotional residues. Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed sees through all the rhetoric and the muck and duck of yesterday, and it refuses to bow to social obedience. Psychology frameworks are museum mind logic. It, it destroys the limitations of change, heal, create, transformation, and forgiveness because those systems depend on hidden control. Fix this, fix that, improve that, transform yourself. As Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed snaps the leash and rises you to sovereign clarity where your energy flows without permission. Energetic liberation dissolves limitations created by the past based systems. Change, heal, create, and transformation are limitation rituals that assume you are broken, behind, incomplete, or in need of repair. As energetic liberation energizes and unveils the visionary veracity of you, your limitations were invented by the past, never by your frontier identity. Liberation bypasses thinking, knowing, viewpoints, opinions, and beliefs, the exact mechanisms that create unrealized control. When those dissolve, your free flowing energy, when them are dissolved, your free flowing energy returns instantly because nothing is blocking it anymore. Liberation creates the opening where my sovereign energy unleashes and dissolves, change, heal, create, transformation, and forgiveness that tries to modify the old character. Liberation deletes all that. The deletion creates the opening, the clean voltage, and the frontier breath where your wild, fluid, and unrepeatable energy erupts. In that eruption, the truth becomes undeniable. I am the liberator of me, never a coach, never a system, never a method, never past based rituals. You, the supreme sovereign veracity, unrealized control dissolves, limitations collapse. Change, heal, create, and transformation lose their authority as your energy rises free, fluid, sovereign. And the frontier identity speaks. I am the liberator of me, is why my liberator of me destroys limitations, energizes my gut gumption. I dissolve the false identities those systems keep repairing. Change, heal, create, transformation, and forgiveness. Self help, self improvement, self and personal growth, and punctuated writings all depend on the belief that the old character still needs fixing. When I declare I'm the liberator of me, I delete that character entirely. The moment I dissolve the false identities, every limitation collapses because it was built on that outdated version of me. My gut gumption rises because nothing inside me is waiting for permission to be whole. I bypass the museum mind systems that train social obedience. Change, heal, create, transformation, and forgiveness frameworks and forgiveness rituals and punctuated writings are museum minds architectures, past based, socially obedient, and emotionally domesticated. They keep me looping yesterday's logic, yesterday's wounds, and yesterday's grammar. As I stand, I am the liberator of me. I bypass all of that. Stop obeying the past. I stop performing improvement. I stop worshiping transformation as my gut gumption ignites my light of life because I stop being controlled by inherited scripts. As I unleash my free flowing energy that that can never exist in the past, only the here and now. As free flowing energy is my frontier voltage, wild, fluid, sovereign, unrepeatable, and unborrowed from anywhere. It can never breathe inside the change heal create transformation narratives because those systems require me to stay loyal to yesterday. When I rise as the liberator of me, I create the opening where my energy erupts without resistance. My gut gumption becomes my instinctual, intuitive, unstoppable, sovereign valor because it's powered by my now frequencies, never the museum. As I experience the here and now, I wow me out of the past to enjoy today in every way. And I want to thank you. I am Robert Wilson with Cowboy Wisdom Unleashed, and my podcast is every Tuesdays and Thursdays. It's about you rising out of where you've been by understanding you've been your comfort zone programming and all the other programming keeps you in yesterday. It's your sovereign valor and your liberator of you set you free to enjoy today. I want to thank you and may your life be as blessed as you are a blessing to me in the world. Thank you.